Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us as a sponsor. I will say that my dog is right here, so if she starts barking, I'm going to hit mute. Um, at True Lion, our mission is to improve the lives of our member owners. We do this in many ways, including investing in our local communities where our members live and work. We support nonprofits and business organizations in around 4 areas: community development, economic mobility, financial education, and youth and education. And we continue to appreciate our membership and partnership with GMA in our community development focus area and bringing professional development opportunities to you every other month as part of the workplace workshops. Today we have a great program. I want to tell you a little bit about our speaker. Laurie Guest is our presenter. She has over 20 years of healthcare experience prior to starting her speaking career. She is known for relevant customer service and staff development ideas that help teams attract and keep new clients. Laurie is a certified speaking professional. That's a designation held by less than 12% of speakers worldwide. So that's a big deal. She's a big deal. She's the author of a unique book on customer service called The 10-Cent Decision: How Small Change Pays Off Big. Today, she comes to us from her home in Northern Illinois. Please welcome our speaker, author, and a below average cook, Laurie Guest.
So my program is called Life in the Espresso Lane. And the reason I call it that is because I kind of see life like a 3-lane highway. And when I started out in my early 20s in healthcare, I was in the scenic lane, the far right lane. The time was my own, and I only had to take care of myself. Go to work, take best possible care of our patients through great customer service, go home and do whatever I wanted. And the time in that lane was glorious. I just didn't know it at the time, because everybody that I was working with, they were in the middle lane of life, and they were out meeting people, getting married, having babies. So I moved to the middle lane, started looking for a man. Yeah. If we were live, you'd all laugh at that right now. Yeah. And so I'm out looking for that partner. And I got to tell you, the time in that lane was also glorious. For example, I couldn't wait to hear the sound of Tom's car pull into my driveway to pick me up for our dates. And this year we're going to celebrate, I think it's our 28th or 29th of wedding anniversary. And I got to tell you, 6 o'clock when I hear that garage door go up, I'm like, crap, he's home. See, things change. And all of a sudden, everybody who was in the middle lane, they move to the far left lane. And that's where all of us are at right now. It is the espresso lane of life. It's where time is moving so fast. And for those of you who may have been on shutdown, who didn't leave your house for a couple of weeks, maybe it was the opposite of that. Time did take on a whole new meaning and slowed down. But now we can feel that pace picking back up again. And today, the whole reason that Holly asked me to gather with you today, by the way, this is my second time with you guys, and thank you so much for putting in votes that you'd like to have me back. I appreciate that. And so when we find ourselves in that far left lane and time is going so fast, I can give you 6 behaviors that I think can change your life personally and professionally. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Now, as we mentioned, there is a handout. That is just an outline of the 6 things or 7 things that I'm going to be covering. But you might have noticed on the back side is a doodle page. Why would a speaker give you a doodle page when you're supposed to be paying attention? And the reason is that your brain has the ability, and it actually thrives in keeping it busy while it's listening. And I know online it's even harder to really focus on what's going on. So I give you complete permission to flip your page, or page 2 in this example, on your PDF. And there's all kinds of fun things for you to do there while you're listening to my voice. I'm only going to be showing a couple slides today when it's appropriate, and that's just so that you don't get tired of only seeing slides go by. And we'll also be polling and asking a couple questions. Allison chimed in. I'm laughing. Thank you. I need to know that. I have this like a little giggle machine I use once in a while to remind me there's people on the other end. And when something is funny, type in there that you're laughing, because that gives me energy. All right. We are going to jump right in. The 6 behaviors that can change your life. So I talked about the fact within the subtitle that we want to be balanced and smooth and bold with our coffee metaphor. What are those talents or traits, again, professionally or personally, that you can bring to the table? So we'll start out with the first, which is my balance. I have 2 items under balance. And the first one is a pick me philosophy. I used to work with about 110 women at the same time. And there were attributes that people had that moved them ahead in their jobs. And there were things that they did that held them back from getting promotions. And when I think of a pick me philosophy, I think that means, in my mind, it means getting your hand in the air and putting it out there that you're willing. So the perfect example of that is a woman I used to work with by the name of Janice. Now, when a new piece of equipment would come into our office, we'd roll it into one of the exam rooms, and most of the technicians who were going to be using it, including myself, would step back and kind of go, I don't know how to use it. But not Janice. Janice would get her hand in the air and she'd ask for the manual. And she would sit there and spin the dials and read the manual and really orientate herself to how this piece of equipment worked. And then 2 weeks later, when the equipment rep shows up for his appointment to show all of us how to use it, it was always the rep and Janice who was teaching us. In the late 90s, we went through a difficult downsizing as healthcare reimbursements changed. And I know there's a lot of you on the line who work in healthcare. If you've been around for years, you know exactly that era that I'm talking about, where everything in reimbursement started shifting. And so we had to make quite a few changes and we had to downsize. And in that process of downsizing, I was on the leadership team of about 8 or 9 people who sat behind closed doors for 2 weeks and made decisions on who would stay and who would go. It was one of the worst experiences of my professional life. In fact, it's one of the reasons I'm self-employed today. I don't ever want to be in that situation again where I'm making the decision on a domino effect in someone else's life. I love managing people, but I don't love managing when it turns into something like that. And I know many of you can relate. But here's the point why I'm bringing it up, is that there were lessons to be learned behind the closed door in the downsizing lesson and the pick me philosophy. And here it is. The first thing we did is took the entire roster and we pulled the people off to keep that we absolutely could not open the doors without them. They were so critical to the function of our organization. And here's what's interesting. Other than doctors, obviously remove that from the pile, but from all of the non-MD staff of over 100, I think 114 people, there were 2 and only 2 that were we can't open the doors without these 2 people. So they went on the save list. And then we went the opposite direction. And we looked at all the people that maybe we should have gotten rid of, even if we weren't having a downsizing. There was 1. That meant the balance of the 12 to 14 people that we needed to let go from our organization was found in the balance. In between those we had to have and those that needed to go, we had to find a whole bunch of people. Now, these people were our friends. Many of them I'd hired myself. They had not done a thing that said that they should be let go. But yet we had to figure out who to keep. And one of the first people that went on the list as a keeper was Janice. And it wasn't because she was stronger than the other employees or any of the other criteria. It wasn't that she scored a 10 in all the categories. It was this simple thing of a pick-me philosophy, because Janice had so much knowledge about the equipment, was such a go-getter in saying, give it to me, I'll figure it out. And because we used her in so much of our training, it became a no-brainer that she was as close to indispensable as you could get. And that is what help Janice stay. I bring this up to you because as we begin to get back to work, and I know you all have a different story, and I can't begin to understand the story. I do know the one common thread we all have is that people who pick up their arm and say, pick me, or I'll do it, or I'll take care of that, or I'll figure that out, you become so valuable to the people that you work for. And for those of you who are leaders or owners or entrepreneurs on the call, it's what your customer appreciates about you when you say, we'll figure it out. A pick-me philosophy is an extremely important one to have. And it comes with some internal motivation. Now, I don't really like the term motivational speaker, and I never have. And the reason is because I think that motivation is an inside job. Even if I gave you the perfect poem and a prayer today to get you motivated, a couple days from now, that has worn off. Unless I'm there every morning to refill your cup and get you going, which I'm not, then it's an inside job. You've got to find your own way to motivate yourself. And I think any one of the 6 to 7 tips that I'm giving you today fit in the category of getting you motivated. So number 1 is a pick me philosophy. Think where you could be doing that.